In the dimly lit confines of the Joe Rogan Experience studio, fight commentator Joe Rogan and boxing legend Mike Tyson sat bathed in the soft glow of the podcast set. The air crackled with anticipation as the conversation steered towards the world of celebrity boxing, specifically focusing on the enigmatic figure of Jake Paul. Rogan, ever the martial arts aficionado, pulled up a clip of Jake Paul's latest fight on his screen. A mischievous grin spread across his face as he gestured towards Tyson. "All right, champ, take a look at this," he said, his voice laced with amusement. Clip began, showcasing Jake Paul's flamboyant entrance and his signature over-the-top celebrations. Rogan paused the video before the fight even started. "Look at this clown show," Tyson rumbled, his voice surprisingly light. "He fights like he's on his way to a costume party." As the video resumed, Rogan pointed out Jake Paul's movements. "See that footwork, Mike? No head movement, zero hip rotation. This is like watching a high school brawl," he chuckled. Tyson, his eyes narrowed in concentration, snorted. "He punches like he's swatting flies. No power behind those swings at all." Two veterans proceeded to dissect Jake Paul's technique, or rather, the complete lack thereof. Rogan pointed out glaring flaws, while Tyson offered his own brand of colorful commentary, liberally sprinkled with expletives. Rogan: "See how flat-footed he is? One good takedown and this guy's done." Tyson: "Yeah, and that right hook? More like a right flop. He couldn't knock out a grandma with that thing." Their critique turned into a comedic roast, with Rogan and Tyson mimicking Jake Paul's movements and exaggerating his posturing. The studio erupted in laughter as they playfully jabbed at the internet celebrity's fighting style. Rogan: "Maybe he should stick to YouTube. At least there he can edit out all the times he gets tagged." Tyson: "Hey, don't insult YouTubers. I bet some of those gamers could throw a meaner punch than this Paul character." The clip ended. Rogan leaned back in his chair, wiping a tear from his eye. "Man, I needed that laugh," he wheezed. Tyson, still chuckling, shook his head. "I don't know what's worse, his fighting or his inflated ego." Exchange served as a hilarious takedown of Jake Paul's foray into the world of boxing, reminding everyone that true fighting prowess goes far beyond bravado and social media clout.
Bro, I'm gonna give you props, bro. You're different for this, bro. Like, I've never even imagined some shit like this, bro. So, bro, like, respect. If this shit is, like, really going down and, like, you're not, like, it's not pre-planned. I'm not saying it is, bro. I'm just saying, like, if it's not and it's a real fucking fight, bro, like, I'm gonna pray for you, bro. Because this shit is, like, bro, you're fucking nuts.
Yeah, that's what everyone, like, even my dad was like, "Yo, what? This is going to be the hardest motherfucker." My mom, the first time I told her, she's like, "Are you going to get knocked out?" I'm like, what the fuck? There is a part of me that is, like, a little bit more scared than any of my other opponent, just because I know that the power is the last thing to go.
Yep.
And he still has that muscle memory when he starts bopping around and throwing those big hooks and uppercuts.
Practically combusted the moment footage of Joe Rogan and Mike Tyson's comedic dismantling of Jake Paul's fighting style hit the web. Memes erupted, talk shows buzzed, and amidst the whirlwind, Jake Paul himself took to social media, a now familiar glint of defiance in his eyes. In a scathing video posted across his channels, Paul addressed Rogan and Tyson directly. "All right, folks, the clowns are back at it," he began, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "Seems like Joey never fought a day in his life. Rogan and Iron Mike, who's past his prime by a good 2 decades, decided to take a shot at the problem child." Paul then launched into a passionate, if not entirely accurate, defense of his skills. "They want to talk about weak? Let's talk about washed-up has-beens clinging to their glory days. I respect both these guys for what they did back in the day, but that day is long gone." He then took the opportunity to not only respond to the criticism, but also to promote his upcoming fight with Mike Tyson, scheduled for June 2nd. "This fight isn't about me proving myself to Rogan or some internet trolls," he declared. "This is about showing the world what happens when youthful athleticism meets a rusty legend." Paul, known for his showmanship, didn't stop there. He upped the ante by issuing a challenge directly to Rogan. "Joe Rogan, you think my footwork is bad?" A smirk played on his lips. "Put your money where your mouth is. Step into the ring with me, and let's see how well your podcast analysis translates to actual fighting. The barb was clear. Paul, playing to his younger audience, aimed to expose Rogan's commentary as armchair criticism compared to the reality of the ring. He concluded the challenge with a playful jab, though, knowing you, you'd probably chicken out faster than you can cancel interviews. The video concluded with a fiery call to action directed at Mike Tyson. To Mike Tyson, this fight isn't an exhibition, it's an execution, Paul declared with theatrics. On June 2nd, I'm gonna expose you for what you've become. A faded echo of your former self. The world will watch as I dismantle your legacy, brick by brick. Whether Paul's bravado is genuine confidence or a carefully crafted marketing ploy remains to be seen. One thing's for certain, the war of words has well and truly begun. The boxing world, with bated breath, awaits the clash between the internet sensation and the Iron Mike. This showdown has the potential to transcend the sport itself, becoming a battle between the established guard and the brash new generation, all played out under the unforgiving lights of the boxing ring.
Okay, give me 10 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Day 2, we're getting ready for you.
The internet barely had time to settle from Jake Paul's fiery response before Mike Tyson himself unleashed a verbal counteroffensive. In a short but impactful video posted on his social media, Tyson, his face grim, addressed Paul directly. The playful amusement he displayed with Rogan was replaced by a cold, predatory intensity. "Hey, Paul," Tyson began, his voice low and menacing. "You want to talk about weak? You wouldn't know weakness if it bit you on your perfectly sculpted backside." A hint of his trademark snarl flickered across his lips. "You call yourself a fighter? You're a social media jester with delusions of grandeur." The tone shifted as Tyson leaned closer to the camera, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. "You said June 2nd is about dismantling my legacy? Let me tell you something, kid. That night, it's about your survival." A long, pregnant pause followed. "I'm not coming in there to play games. I'm coming in to show you the difference between a real fighter and a kid playing dress-up." The threat hung heavy in the air. This wasn't playful banter anymore. Tyson, it seemed, took Paul's challenge personally, perhaps even as a slight to the legacy he'd built with blood, sweat, and countless knockouts. The focus then shifted, with Tyson addressing a different point. "You think this is about money, Paul? You think a few $1,000,000 is enough to get in the ring with Iron Mike?" He let out a humorless chuckle. "There's a reason this fight is worth $500 million, because it ain't for the faint of heart." Tyson claimed the exorbitant purse wasn't just about his own financial gain. "There's a line of hungry fighters a mile long who'd take that fight for a fraction of the cost. But they know what they're getting into. They respect the damn ring." His gaze seemed to burn through the camera, directly at Paul. "You, on the other hand, seem to think this is all a big game, chance to boost your follower count." The video concluded with a chilling ultimatum. "If you don't want to end up a cautionary tale, Paul, you better start training 24/7 yesterday, because come June 2nd, that ring becomes your crucible. And I ain't showing any mercy." With those final words, Tyson ended the video. The message was clear. This wasn't a fight. It was a potential execution. Whether Paul would heed the warning or remain blinded by his bravado remained to be seen. One thing was certain. The world held its breath as the June 2nd showdown loomed, a clash that transcended boxing, becoming a battle between youthful arrogance and the terrifying wrath of a legend. The boxing world collectively gulped as Mike Tyson's response video not only threatened Jake Paul's survival, but hinted at a chilling future for his brother Logan as well. Tyson, his voice devoid of its usual playfulness, addressed the camera with a predatory glint in his eye. "This ain't a one-time thing, folks," he rumbled. "Jake Paul might be first, but he sure as hell won't be last." A pause hung heavy in the air, thick with unspoken menace. He continued, his words laced with a cold fury. These internet celebrities think boxing is a joke, a game for clicks and views. Well, I'm here to remind them what happens when clowns step into the ring with a king. Tyson pounded his fist on the table for emphasis. This is about sending a message to anyone who thinks they can disrespect the sport and get away with it. It was clear. Tyson wasn't just aiming to shut Jake Paul up. He was on a mission to reassert his dominance, to remind the world that the Iron Mike of his prime still lurked beneath the surface. And the Paul brothers, with their flamboyant personalities and perceived lack of respect for the sport, were the perfect targets for his public declaration. The boxing world watched with morbid fascination as the drama unfolded. Would June 2nd be the beginning of a two-brother ordeal, or would it mark the end of the Paul brothers' foray into professional boxing altogether? Only time and the courage, or lack thereof, of Logan Paul would tell.
What do you think about the corrupt state of boxing?
Yeah, it's one of the most corrupt businesses in the world. Lots of sharks, lots of people who don't care about their business reputation. They can get away with things in other businesses that
if you're
normally
a thief in
can't.
boxing, you have a good reputation. That's how it works.
Yeah, no, and so many fighters are. There's a lot of sharks in boxing and a lot of shady people, and you got to be careful. But
are there famous like sharks out there that we need to be worried about? Or
yeah,
that's how they
attract the fighters, by being famous.
Yeah,
you see Don with all the hair. I want to be associated with that.
Yeah, they want to get in the same rooms with these people. And the thing is, the reason why I'm shaking up the game so much is because I don't need the money from promotion.
Boxing legend Mike Tyson has unleashed a legal haymaker on YouTube personality Jake Paul, filing a whopping $300 million lawsuit against him. The bombshell lawsuit alleges that Paul attempted to bribe Tyson into throwing their highly anticipated upcoming fight. Tyson, in a statement released by his legal team, expressed outrage at the alleged attempt. "I've faced down ferocious fighters in the ring for decades," he declared, "but nothing prepared me for the audacity of this proposition. To think Jake Paul believes he can buy a win against me is an insult to the sport and to the fans." The lawsuit details the alleged bribe, claiming Paul offered Tyson a significant financial incentive to lose the fight. The specific amount hasn't been disclosed, but it's dwarfed by the $300 million lawsuit amount. This figure likely reflects not only punitive damages, but also potential damage to Tyson's reputation and legacy. "My legacy is built on sweat, blood, and unwavering dedication," Tyson continued. "I wouldn't sell my soul for any amount of money. This lawsuit sends a message. There's no place for corruption in boxing." News of the lawsuit has sent shockwaves through the boxing world. Many boxing purists have expressed disgust at the alleged bribery attempt, fearing it could erode the integrity of the sport. Meanwhile, Jake Paul has yet to respond publicly to the lawsuit. However, sources close to him maintain he's innocent and will vigorously contest the allegations. Whether the lawsuit goes to court or a settlement is reached remains to be seen. But one thing's for sure, the fight between Iron Mike and the problem child has taken a dramatic turn, transforming from a much-anticipated spectacle into a legal brawl. This lawsuit could have far-reaching consequences. If proven true, it could severely damage Jake Paul's reputation and potentially lead to criminal charges. It could also prompt stricter regulations within boxing to prevent future bribery attempts. One thing's certain, Mike Tyson isn't backing down. This lawsuit, he's proving he's still a force to be reckoned with both inside and outside the ring.